morning. I'm Caralee Gurney with North Texas Networkers, and with my co-host, Stacy Reevely. We are excited to be here today. Once again, thankful to Craig Schrank with Willow Bend Mortgage for helping sponsor our show. And this morning, we have a surprise for you. Not only do we have a great guest, but we also have our very first studio audience. So very excited to be here, but our guest today is Lynn Urban with Starside Custom Builders, and we are very happy to have you here. Not only is he fun, he's funny, he's smart, and you won't wait. I mean, you're just going to be amazed by his products that he's producing with Starside Builders.
Yeah.
Until the magic trick started, and then we'll see what Thank you for having me.
We're so glad you're here. So Lynn, just tell us a little bit about yourself, about your family, kind of where you grew up, how you got to this area.
Well, born and raised in St. Louis. I went to SMU, so I've been a Texan for a long time.
Yeah.
Yes. Happy to be here. Just celebrated a 20-year anniversary with my wife.
Congratulations.
She said it's been the best 3 years of her life, 20 years. I've also got believe it or not, keep me in your prayers, I've got an 18-year-old and a 15-year-old, which is kind of scary. I don't know how that happened. My wife is 97. That's a lie. But he just graduated from Frisco High, and she's entering her sophomore year there, so all is well.
Fun times.
You know, I want to give the audience an opportunity towards the end of the show. I want to let them know that they can ask you some questions. Are you okay with that?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. So ask any questions about our show or about Lynn's experiences and what it's like to work with him towards the end of the show.
Thank goodness, I thought they were going to be marital questions.
If you want to ask marital questions, it's fine. So it was interesting. I had a client one day, and he and I were talking about where to possibly build a home. And, we're talking, and I said, well, I really like this neighborhood called Normandy Estates, which is at Spring Creek and the tollway, just off of that, and beautiful custom neighborhood. And I said, we're going to go meet with Lynn Urban. And he said, that's funny. Lynn Urban. He goes, I wonder how many Lynn Urbans there are, because I went to a really small high school, and I knew a Lynn Urban.
That is so true. He was in California at the time, which is kind of odd, and we had gone to
and he didn't go to high school in Plano.
No, this is in St. Louis. A high school. It's a private high school. There's only 64 people in the graduating class, so the odds of that happening were a little remote.
That's amazing.
Yes, you never know who you're going to run into.
But Caralee did the deal. She closed the deal. We built him a custom built house, and he still lives there. And
he still likes me.
And he still likes her.
And he still likes you.
He still plays golf with me, so there you go. I guess it's okay. It worked out well.
Thing. So how did you get started in, is it new builds that you do mostly, or do you do
Well,
both?
actually, yes. We are a custom home builder.
Okay.
And we're the developer and the primary builder in Normandy Estates,
Okay.
as Caralee said, in Plano, off Spring Creek, and right at Midway. And really the way I got started into it was, I don't know how many years ago, I'm in the second decade doing it, is of a friend of mine with Hawkins Wellwood Homes, Kurt Wellwood. We also went to SMU together. We've been talking about doing this for years, getting together in business. And finally, I had sold a wine store in Kansas City. So he said, is this the time? I go, yes, it is. So it's time to come back to Texas, and I'm thrilled. It's been fantastic.
Did you sell the wine with the wine store, or did you?
No, I kept that. I've got a big trailer out back here with a bumper sticker on it. Says, I'd rather be a good liver than have one. No, I know, that's not it.
I like that. That's great.
It's funny.
Well, so tell us a little bit about what makes Starside unique. How are they different than other custom builders that are out there?
That's a great question, because when you're building a custom home, you're dealing with someone's their number one asset they have in their life for the most part. It's the most expensive thing that they have. And so you're intimate with them when you're doing, whether it be a spec or even a custom build. And one thing that I love about Starside, and starts at, Phil Porchot is our chairman of the board, and it starts with him. And he actually lives in Normandy Estates, as does our president. Mark Powell lives in there as well. So their dedication to this community is evident just by where they choose to be. But I think what separates us from so many people is the fact that we have the mentality of a servant. We try to bring that to every client that comes in. We realize we build lots of houses, but this may be their first that they've done. So we try to make sure we have their best interest at heart, and always listening to them. And when you're building a house for someone, you see the ins and outs between husband and wife or whoever it might be, talking and you go through this, and frankly, you develop a bond with them that, that all the people in Normandy Estates absolutely love, that are in there. So I think that's it.
This might be a good point. Travis, do you happen to have some video that we could show? A little bit of what their homes look like? There we go. They're so beautiful.
I love all the
I
detail.
love all the details, yes. Gorgeous.
Well, while you're looking at that as well, Normandy Estates is obviously it's varied in who would live there. We have the estate section, which is, it's typically about a 5,000 square foot home or larger. The largest one's 21,000, and it can be for families, although we certainly have some just couples living in there. Then what we have is more of an empty nester section on the villa side, which are for the most part 0 lot lines. We've opened a new section up across our lake, which is kind of a hybrid between the two, between the estate section and the villa section. Those houses range probably from 4,000 to 45, but we just opened these 12 lots up. But the most exciting thing we're doing right now is that we've now incorporated on the northeast part of our community. We've enclosed it and we're building it. We're actually doing condominiums, very high-end, $1 million condominiums, 2,500 to 3,000 square feet. The buildings are only 2 stories high, but they are flats. But obviously, it's going to be extremely high-end. Actually, we're going to start taking reservations for those in a few weeks. So we've got people who are, young families. We've got empty nesters. We've got people who just want a single lifestyle. Yet they want the neighborhood of Normandy Estates, which is actually the first gated community in Plano in the last 19 years, just because of the land. So if you want to be in the high-end living, you want to be in Plano, Normandy Estates is really where it is. Right. So it's exciting to be there, and it's a lot of fun.
But it's not the only place you are, right?
No, it's not. We've got a house we've just completed in Preston Hollow on Stephanie, which is that house is 744 square feet. Right now it's priced at right at $3,499,000. It's complete. I'm about ready to complete another one in University Park on Greenbrier. It's about 6,800 square feet, and it's priced at $3,750,000. So we have got actually all across the board, but we do things very deliberately. We do a lot of love and care in it, and nothing we care about more than our clients and what is best for them.
That's awesome. So tell me a little bit, how have you seen the new build industry kind of evolve and change over the last several years, 10 years, 15 years? What's different now than it used to be?
That's a great question. I think one is that
they have you working for them.
I'm sorry.
They have
They
you
have you working for them.
Yeah, that's it. The savviness of the buyer, just because the exposure, what's out there between obviously the internet, what they can search for, they know much more what they want and what's available to them, rather than just going out there and say, well, we're not really sure. We want to do a build to suit, a custom build. We just want it nice. The details are incredible. And I think on top of that, coupled with the technology that comes along with that, when you can do a 3D of a house you're designing and walk through the house and just see what your house is going to be like and say, oh, I need to expand this room, or let's cut this down, let's make these changes. It's very exciting. And it's
and that's just technology now that didn't exist.
It
helps
did not exist back then. You're not looking at, a lot of people cannot visualize a three-dimensional home when you're looking at a blueprint on flat. Now it can come to life and they can be in there.
I just did a remodel, and we had a 3-dimensional model of what it would look like, and that's the only way I could understand and make decisions, because
it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
so
it's
a lot
nice
more
to have
fun,
that.
and there's a lot more detail, and it answers a lot of questions.
For sure.
So this is just an interesting question, I think. But tell me what the most strangest situation you've had with a home customer.
Are we live
With
on air still?
No,
okay.
later.
It's interesting. one thing you do learn is that we're all unique creatures, and maybe one little screw twist away from being completely insane. I'm not sure, but everybody's different. And they all bring to the table their own brand of what they want. So we've designed homes when people want. I think one I'm thinking about that we designed a home that one of the spouses snored, and they wanted, and I'm going to let you guess which it is. It is not the guy, by the way, in this case. But the wife had volunteered. She wanted to build almost like you'd think a Pullman car or railroad in the closet that was sealed off, that she could go in there and sleep and not disturb her husband that was in there.
She slept in the closet?
Yes, but this closet
was a sleeping closet.
A very high-end Pullman kind of looking car. Doors slide open, you go in there, and it was pretty amazing.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. So, so don't know if her snoring never quit, but it worked out well.
He never heard her.
Yeah, never heard her. So there you go.
That is awesome. Very funny. For sure. So, the staging of the homes, tell us a little bit about that, because when you walk into model homes, you just are floored at how beautiful those are. So, who does that in your company? Is there one person that's in charge of all that, or how does that work?
Well, we have actually two people in our company that do that. Pam Roberts, who is our interior designer. And if you've seen our homes, I have to give all the credit to everything she picks out. She is a talent that I've never experienced before in this industry. She just has that feel for it. My wife tells me my taste is apple crate modern. I don't think that's a compliment. And she also said, if Pam wants to come into our house, she can redesign it. There will be no cat fights. It would be great. No, but she is a talent, and she can see things how things should be designed and how they flow together. Most people can only see one room at a time, but she can bring everything together. So she's amazing. So she and Cindy in our office, Cindy Warren, they get together and decide which companies we're going to use for staging. Now, one thing we just did on our...
You don't have your own stagers. You use other stagers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And we will buy some furniture that's there, but when it changes, you have a garage sale and you move it.
Yeah.
But back to the technology, if you look at our website, which is starsidebuilders.com, that's www.starsidebuilders.com. When you go in that, the first time I'd ever done this, I actually did a virtual staging of our house on Stephanie in Preston Hollow. The house is, like I said, 7,700 square feet plus, and you couldn't possibly stage it at all. So this house has an 800 bottle wine room. Digitally, they actually even put the wine bottles in there, as well as furniture, as well as pictures on the wall. And so obviously the goal is to get people down there to see it.
So you do that in the online system, and then they go in the house when it's vacant, or
Yes.
do you have boards in the rooms?
No, it's actually it's to get them into the house. But
Okay.
really what it does, in this house, it's pretty well defined. If you have a lot of open spaces or rooms that are maybe combined, people can't visualize, well, what room is this, where it should go. In this particular home, it lays out beautifully and it's easy to visualize. But there are other homes that we stage that really, especially on our villa side in Normandy Estates, that we do are very acute about putting that furniture in there to let people see how it would feel in a house like that.
That makes sense.
Well, so if you think about real estate, it always goes in cycles. I know our business goes in cycles different times of the year. How is that different in the custom home building? Have you had like a low point? Have you had a high point over your years?
Yes, and actually what you can look at is the best judge of that. A lot of people follow wood prices, timber prices are coming up. How will it go? What's it cost? I really just look at my golf handicap, and when it's really low and I'm playing well, business is terrible. And of course, I think we all can reflect back to 2008 when the world ended, so to speak. So that was,
Was that 2019 or was that 2008?
yeah, it's it's a deja vu all over again, as Yogi Berra would say. But that was a hard time, and a lot of builders fell out, didn't make it, and it was just, but kind of like the phoenix coming out of the ashes, it came back. We've been in this bull market for a long time. Slipped, obviously we've slipped this year, but we're in a unique spot. We should be all thankful in our business that we are in Texas, especially Dallas. There are other areas of the country that just have gotten hit so hard. But even back in 2008, it wasn't disastrous like everything else was. And you can really look at job creations when jobs are still coming in, and when you still have land, you're not going to have bubbles and you're going to have opportunities. So,
Yeah.
I think that was the most concerning point was in 2008, because there have been other areas, but that was the hardest one lately. 2019, let's talk about, and 2020, come into it and we'll see where we are. In a year, we'll make this judgment again.
Yeah, it definitely changes at any given moment. So talk a little bit about the difference between a typical new build and then a built to suit. How does that process differ?
It is on a new build, which is a spec home.
Okay.
That we build them for, because a lot of people don't want to go through a build to suit process. It's arduous, it takes a lot of work, and there's a lot of time that goes into it. Either people don't want to put that time in, they don't have the vision to do it, they don't have a clear cut what they want, and they're easy to see one of our spec homes say, this is what we want. And other people have gotten so specific about what they want, and they know it, and with the technology and with their knowledge has increased as a homeowner, that it gives them the opportunity to build the house that they want. And I always say there's no such thing as a perfect home. Even if you have your own plans, you'll come back later and say, I should have made that utility room a little bigger, whatever it might be. But it's a time factor. I think typically when people ask me on our estate side, how long does it take to build a home? I said, well, the building process is probably going to be 13 to 14 months. But we're going to add on another 6 months by the time you design the home, go through engineering, go through permitting. So there's a lot of time in that as well. So that's really kind of the difference.
Very good.
Very nice. All right, so I've got a fun question for you. If you,
From your side,
once
maybe.
once you grow up and you for some reason can't do what you're doing, what would you do instead?
What would I do instead? Ideally, or my fantasies?
Fantasy.
The fantasies, I'd be a
total
golf pro,
fantasy.
but that's never happening. So I'm a sommelier.
Oh.
So wine is a passion of mine, and unlike golf, where actually people in the wine will actually listen to what I have to say and can glean something from it, unlike my golf game. I had a wine store that I owned in Kansas City. I used to own restaurants there as well. So that is a passion of mine, and it's a fun business. And I would probably say I would travel the world, as long as we're doing the fantasy, drinking wine, whether I'm going from the Rhone area of France to Italy to all over. And someone would hire me to give me the reviews. I'd do the reviews like Parker does and do the reviews on wine.
Oh.
That would be idyllic.
That's neat. And I think, seeing the different trends in the housing industry and, wine rooms right now are kind of I think up and coming. A lot of homes are building that in there. Is that correct?
It is. The one that I have on Greenbrier in the University Park that I've got in there, I say it's a smaller one. It's only like about 210 bottle one. It's a reach-in. My one on Stephanie is a walk-in that is well over 800 bottles that you can go in there. And if you buy the house, so we do give you a 1-year subscription to AA. So if you fill it all up, so that's part of the deal.
Well, this has been awesome. I want to make sure we have some time for our audience, but I do have one more question for you, and that is there...
You always scare me when you do that.
I know. I like to get you. If you, thinking of all the questions we asked you today, what one question might we not have asked you that you wish we had?
Is this a good time to invest in a new home? Is this a good time? Am I better off going back and doing a remodel of a house as you had done? And these are questions that I get literally on a weekly basis. It's constant. And what's interesting is everybody's situation is different. So there is no template that you can answer that question. A lot of people are moving now, I think, with the innovations in technology in a home, whether it be, we don't build a home unless it's foam insulation, which, and everybody knows, it keeps your energy rates down, your costs down. But it also expands, a lot of people don't realize it expands your attic space so that you also have a climate controlled as well as it's dust free, because there's air is filtered before it comes into your attic, unlike most homes. But
well, I was just going to ask a quick question about the foam insulation. Is it true that you shouldn't insulate all the way everything? Like
no, actually you should. All of our homes are completely encapsulated, meaning the roof and the exterior walls.
Okay.
And I just had someone I spoke to the other day. He did his ceiling on the inside, because unless you take all your drywall out, it's almost impossible to really do a foam insulation, on the inside. So no, you want that complete encapsulation, and it changes the whole perspective of your house. You don't have soffits any longer. It's like living in an igloo box, which means you always have to have fresh air circulating, throughout.
Yeah.
So that's, foam insulation it's amazing. Radiant Barrier Shield had been the gold standard for decades, but now it's like, why would anybody buy a house if it doesn't have that? Unless you're going to take it down to the studs and redo it and take advantage of it.
I'm sorry for the tangent.
No, that's quite all right. But so people think about doing a remodel, unless they are going down to the studs, you're not going to get the full effect of it. And you still have, you hate to use the term, even on beautiful houses, it's lipstick on a pig, you're just making it look better. But there's some basic behind the scenes that you do get when you do a new home. That's why a lot of people are making the decision to actually go into a new home, besides the fact that new home has a warranty, the new aesthetics, they have everything there. So I think that's one of the things that, and I'm happy to answer anybody's questions with that on their particular situation. Where are they? How long do they expect to be in a home and whatnot? So that'd be one thing that I think
I'm
that
glad you
people
brought
always
that up.
ask.
Yeah,
Perfect.
it makes a lot of sense to me. And I think with people being home so much now during quarantine time that, they're really evaluating, does this house work for me? And what ways can I change it? And do I need to move? So those are all things people are looking at.
So you're thinking about a snoring room in your closet?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I thought you
And
might.
actually it'd be
You
for
should
my
change that
dog.
laundry room.
My dog is the one that snores in my family.
There you go. No, I have that same situation, so I love that as well. So
Well, so I'm so excited that we've got our first studio audience ever, and I want to give a shout out to my friend Junior Wakefield back there because he's my trainer. And I would like to say I work out every day, but not every day.
so yours why when I requested the Krispy Kreme donuts, we didn't get them.
Exactly.
Okay, I'll remember that, Gene.
There you go.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, I have one.
Okay.
So, when you talk about a custom home, now since you're a home builder, what's the special spot in your house that you like?
Well,
Did everybody catch that? Because I don't think he's might.
people, he asked is, what is the special area of a house, that you like? And it's frankly, I think for most homes, it is the kitchen is always the heartbeat of the home. I mean, that's where people are now gathering, and the change in what's happened in the change in the kitchens. Remember, they used to be tucked back in the back and go back there and cook, and you can't be part of the party until it's there. Well, now it's wide open. So I think the kitchen is always there. It's interesting though, but when you have an empty nester home, and people are going from perhaps a larger home down to and I say large home, it could be 6,000 square feet, 15,000, and we build, houses, empty nesters, 3,700 square feet. It's really important because you've got couples that have been in this big expansive house. Now they're going down there. Now they want to make sure that there is a woman cave and a man cave. They can get away from each other. So, because the house is smaller. So it's important that everybody has their own defined space, that whether it be reading, whether it be just a craft, just to get away. And so I think that's important. But the kitchen and of course the master bedroom are always the two driving, and that master bath now, which are spectacular, are always the driving focal points of a home.
Yeah. Yes?
I have a question.
Yes.
So in building custom homes, do you go full circle? Do you handle, I understand you handle the development, do you handle the financing for people that come to you?
Our company, we made a decision not to have our own financing company because when it's associated with that, there's usually that's another stream of revenue for a builder. And then you're jaded a little bit about who you want to do. Now, we've got lending institutions that we work with if somebody wants to do that. And at Starside Custom Builders, we never play the game of, we're getting something back for it. We don't want any hint of impropriety. So we'll recommend people because we believe in them. And we do that from, start to finish. So whether somebody's paying cash for their, $2 million home, which some people do, which is nice, doesn't happen often, but to finance it, we try to walk them through that. And we're with our customers through every stage of that. It's not just the financing, it's, the architect that they're designing their own. I like to sit in on the meetings, at least the first couple meetings to make sure we're going in the right direction. But we're there from looking at the lot to I'm handing you the keys at the end. So, and then frankly, afterwards, it's great how you build relationships and friendships, in the business that we're in, which is a joy to be in the business that we are absolutely blessed to be in.
I'll tell you, I thought it was interesting just doing the new builds, how you actually pay for your lot separate than you pay for your home, and it's two different closings.
It is, and I think really at Starside, we do something that's very unique, is that if you go in, typically, somebody's gonna say, buy a lot, and then we'll design the house and build on it. But we don't do that. So what we do is we take a deposit down on the lot, and then you go through your architects, and that's where the skin in the game, I call it, for the homeowner is. They have skin in the game with their architect, they have a deposit with us, they design the house, and then we do the pricing out for them. So they don't close on the lot until they know what their plan is, what their specifications are, and what the cost is. So if they walk away, they're not sitting there saying, well, I've got this lot I've got to deal with now. And most builders don't do that. So I'm very proud to say that Starside Custom Builders, again, puts the interest of that homeowner, future homeowner, first place.
That's very good to know.
What wine do you have in your refrigerator today is your favorite?
Well, most of the boxes are stacked outside my garage. No, I'm kidding. They are not. People ask me, Gene, it's like, if you could drink one wine, if you had to drink one wine for the rest of your life, what would it be? And my first reaction is Hades. That would be horrible. I've done something wrong and I'm going down south, because it's only one wine. But I do have a passion for a Chateauneuf du Pape, which is in the Rhone area of France, which it means new castle of the Pope. And you think, what's the Pope doing from France into Italy? But the popes used to bless all the fields in Italy. But that's a combination, can be. It's basically a Syrah and Grenache, but it can be up to 13 different grapes, arguably 14 with Grenache Blanc. But it's a beautiful blend. It's great for drinking, just by itself. Of course, like any wine, it'll help accent the food. So Chateauneuf du Pape is one that I would go to when I said I wanted my wine.
Good question.
Is that it? We have any more?
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay.
Usually with any sort of purchase, the customer experience can come down to the very last engagement with the business. So typically, even post-close, that could be at the end of a warranty period. Being a custom builder and you're geographically spread out other than a place like Normandy Lakes, let's say, what's your company's strategy on supporting the new homeowners through the warranty phase and being able to service all of the little things?
I'm so glad you asked that question, so thank you. Why did you ask that question?
I don't know. But I'm not going to repeat it
That's
just
a great-
so our listeners can
I
hear
think
too.
we have room on the couch up here if you'd like to come up.
Come on up.
Basically,
But no, that's a great question.
about
because
service after the
when
sale.
we're back, when I use that term, that servant mentality, it doesn't end when you buy your home. We go above and beyond, where when people have an issue. Our warranty, it's a 37-page document, and basically what it says, the first year is basically bumper to bumper. We're going to take care of if you have a problem. 2 years, it's your HVAC, your heating, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical. 10 years, it's slab. But we've gone so far beyond that. Between and frankly, it's a great example set by Mark Powell, our president, and Phil Porchot, our chairman of the board, that they said, we are going to take care of those people. We have one thing, all of us here, whether you're as a realtor, and I'm a broker in my own right as well as that, but we have one thing, and we can't ever give it up, and that is our reputation. And so once you don't do that, you've got nothing left. But we do it because that's service. That's what we want to do. And so, yes.
into that.
And so we actually have one person we have on staff just to handle warranty issues. Now, they will help with new construction too, but that comes prior. I get a weekly report from him saying what warranty issues we're working on, just so we know, we follow up. We having the same problem over and over again with someone, but typically it's not. It could be we got a loose cabinet, we have this going on. So that is extremely important to people. And you're so judged after the build. What are they doing for me now? Did they forget who I was? And the answer is absolutely not.
Well, as long as I've known you, I 100% agree. You are all about the service and passionate about what you do.
Thank you, and it is. It's a
Absolutely.
passion-laden business, and again, we're all blessed to be in it, and I love it. I look forward to going to work every day because it's the old saying is find what you love to do, and you'll never work a day in your life, and that's where we're living.
And it's true.
That's my next question. So you've had an outstanding career based on all the things that you've said, from St. Louis lot of young people in the crowd. You said you have a senior off to college, and so with a diverse group of young people, what would your advice be to them right now? There's obviously lots of young people here exploring lots of different avenues. And
I tell you what, my first advice.
They don't want to hear it from us, they want to hear it from someone else.
Someone that doesn't pay their bills and doing things like that, yeah. I've got the same thing, so I'll make you a deal. I will do this if you'll come home and talk to my son and daughter, we'll call it a day. The most important thing I can say is to don't chase the money. Follow what you enjoy. The money will follow. It doesn't matter what it is. I did that one time. I did it for 8 months. I thought, oh my gosh, and I was younger. I thought, this is great, and it was the most miserable 8 months of my life. So I'd say definitely follow your passion, and use your passion as what you're good at. And you can find that niche of where it'll work out. And you may be good at multiple things. Unlike me, I really can't do too much. I do what I can, but follow your passion, and don't go to something because somebody's told you to, or this is the hottest industry to go into. Do what you like. That's what life's about. It's not about anything else but that, and everything else will come.
Great advice.
Really good. Lynn, we're so glad you came on the show. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's always been fun to see you, and thank you for being here, and thank you all for eating the pizza in front of me and not sharing it. That was fun.
We'll make sure you get some pizza.
Yeah, there
after
we
the
go.
show. And once again, North Texas Networkers, I'm Caralee Gurney.
And I'm Stacy Reevely.
And we're so thankful, real quick, again, for Craig Schrank and Willow Bend Mortgage for their sponsorship. And
we are your real estate professionals.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us on North Texas Networkers.
Visit our website, mariposagroupdfw.com. That's MARIPOSA Group DFW.com for more information about the show and other resources. I'm Caralee.
And I'm Stacy.
And we are your real estate professionals.